They don't call him Bigfoot for nothing. You can swing on his centerpiece like a wrecking ball. It's amazingly long and thick.
Yes!
And expands up to 70 feet.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He says it no longer belongs to him. He says it no longer belongs to him. It's all yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so monster romance. Booktok's another unhinged contribution to human civilization.
Oh my God.
I've covered dark romance, mafia romance on this channel before, and I have a whole list of other subgenres I'm getting to. But today, it's monster's turn.
Okay.
Now, I'll say the bar I'm bringing into this video is different because monster romance generally makes me laugh more than it makes me concerned. And I'm gonna explain why, but also why that doesn't mean it gets a completely free pass either. Let's get into it.
Interesting.
Out of all the unhinged romance subgenres on Booktok, and there are many by the way, monster romance is the only one I have the least problem with. Yeah, but I don't mean that as a compliment exactly. It's more like it's the least concerning patient in a very concerning waiting room. Think about it. Dark romance, mafia romance, psychopath romance, stalker romance, bully romance, even demon romance romanticizes real things. Real power imbalances, real manipulation tactics, real dynamics that real women experience with real men who are genuinely dangerous. You can look across the table and see that man. But in case of monster romance, there's no monster in the real world. The 9-foot, 10-foot scaled creature with territorial instincts does not exist. Nobody is going home to a kraken or a Bigfoot or a yeti or a dragon. The fantasy has nowhere to land in reality.
Wow, dad of the year, sacrificing his daughter to some creepy death lord. So he's dark and brooding and hasn't spoken more than 4 words to her, has antlers and a fucking tail, but somehow she still finds herself feeling tingly deep in her core. This is just Stockholm Syndrome, isn't it? You don't actually love him. He's literally only spoken to you once. Well, at least his biceps are big, and he has a human male torso. That's always convenient. But he has hooves instead of feet. Imagine the clackety clack. You had to reach in where to pull it out? Fuzzy and slimy at the same time? It's forked?
There's a very clear line that this is just absurd imagination. So in that sense, and only in that sense, I get the idea of monster romance more than the others. But also monster romance, for the most part, is just smut. Like wall-to-wall smut. The plot is technically there, but it's load-bearing smut with some world-building leaning against it. And I think we need to be honest about that because a number of Booktok girlies are out here consuming these books at a large quantity.
500 pages of unhinged lizard smut. A couple of you asked me, and yes, I did see that Lizard Smut Part 2 Electric Boogaloo has been released. I'm currently 2 chapters in. Wow. And if you're anything like me, you might be thinking to yourself, what other possible ways could an author write the Devil's Tango in a book? Lindsay figured it the fuck out. Again, 2 chapters in. 2. And they're already like, well, it's dinner time. Everybody take your seat. What?
So here's what a monster romance plot typically looks like. We start with a woman, and she's normal, but with some sort of tragic backstory. She makes soup or bakes cookies, or cake apparently. We'll get to that. On the other hand, there's the monster who has been alone for centuries. He's enormous. He communicates primarily through the possessive growling and the concept of mine. They meet usually through some kind of accident, a portal, or kidnapping, which in this genre is presented as a love language. Can't believe I just say that. And from the moment he lays eyes on her, he has decided that she's his fated mate. Like, not gradually, not after getting to know her, no, immediately. She smells right to him. His ancient lizard brain has made its choice, and that's just the situation now.
I said, damn, bitch.
Eventually she falls in love, and they live happily ever after. There you go. That's most of the books. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, there's an absolutely unhinged amount of explicit content. Like the plot sort of exists, but mostly it's just an excuse to get from one explicit scene to the next.
Hard as cake. This one, we talk about a naga who has a slit that opens up to reveal 2 dicks.
But we get to that later. Let's back up a bit. This girl goes to like a magic school and she's like a normie, and all the normies basically get bullied to the death. And she didn't know that when she signed up for the magic school. Pretty early on, these bullies start to like pick on her and they take her to the dungeon. If I go to this dungeon, I'm not coming back. She goes with them to the dungeon to face her death, somehow like escapes them and falls down into this Naga's cavern.
Okay, so just to recap, our girl signed up for a magic school, did not read the terms and conditions, got bullied, got taken to a death dungeon.
Police! Help! Police!
Well, normies getting bullied is very typical in this story, so I'm not judging yet, but I think the meet-cute pipeline has never been more concerning.
And she like lands on his tail and she doesn't have any panties on, so she's immediately like sitting open-legged on his giant Naga tail situation, and she starts to get turned on real fast. And he wakes up, he's like, I'm in my mating slumber. Basically, he's sleeping through his mating cycle so he doesn't have to mate another Naga, because when you mate a Naga female, the reason he has two dicks is because the Naga females will bite off one of the dicks. He's like not ready to lose his second dick.
I need everyone to sit with what was just explained to us.
Take a minute. Take it in.
First of all, girl, how do you get turned on when you're literally in fight or flight mode?
Bruh.
Secondly, he has two things and the female of his species bites one off. So poor guy lost one of his precious limb and protecting the other with his dear life. This is the lore. Someone sat down and wrote this lore with their hands on purpose.
And he's like, no, like I'm not trying to lose my right now. And she's like, well, I don't have teeth down there. And he's like, let's fuck. So her and the Naga start to in the cave.
Survival instinct of a bred. You were thrown in a dangerous situation, and instead of looking for ways to save yourself and get out of that cavern and magic school, you negotiated with a Naga to fuck you out of all the things you could have done as a normal person.
Are you serious right now, bro?
The reason this is called Hard as Cake is because she likes cake, and he's like, you need to stay in my cave with me forever, live here and me. And she's like, but can you bake me cake? And he's like, oh, I didn't tell you, we actually have like a full staff and an industrial kitchen in this part of the cave, so of course I can bake you a cake. And she's like, done.
Find me some logic here. The girl decides to stay here because of cake. The Naga chooses to settle for a human because he can't handle the females of his own species. Seeing a strange reptile creature or a stranger human, and the first thing you do is...
I understand nothing.
You know what? I don't even want the answers anymore.
Cakes are never hard though. So I don't really understand the play on words there. I feel like we could have done something else at the title.
Yeah, I agree on that. Like, what even was the point of this title?
I guess we'll never know.
I think this is another example of how unserious and absurd Monster Romance is. But one thing I did not like is how the girl immediately went into the mating negotiation and the actual action instead of thinking about getting out of a potentially harmful situation.
Stop it. Get some help.
And I want to pause here for a second because I think this is something actually worth saying. Monster Romance is almost entirely smut. Like, that's the product. The fantasy world, the magic school, the cave with the industrial kitchen. That's just scaffolding. The actual point is the smut.
What piece of literature is it, you may ask? Well, Morning Glory Milking Farm, of course. A popular romance novel about a young woman down on her luck who does what every young woman does when facing financial struggle. She gets a job jerking off monsters.
Brother,
And there's a genuine conversation to have about what it means to consume that much of it. Because Booktok has normalized reading and reviewing extremely explicit smut content the same way you'd review a literary novel. The same energy someone uses to discuss character development in a Pulitzer Prize-winning book is being applied to a Naga's situation. At some point, the line between this is fun escapism and this is just a lot of smut consumption being rebranded as a personality is worth thinking about. What you consume regularly does shape how you think. And Monster Romance, underneath all that absurdity, is still full of the same dynamics we keep seeing everywhere else. Kidnapping as romance, power imbalance as intimacy, dubious consent dressed up as fate. The monster just replaced the problematic human.
I was really looking forward to just some wholesome tentacle smut, but this turned into a Dan Brown novel real quick. She does get this magical stand mixer delivered to her bakery, and upon arrival, she enters into this contract with it, where if you ever break up with this mixer, some disastrous things are going to happen to the world. And she's like, okay, that's totally fine. I'm going to commit my life to this mixer forever. And she signs the contracts, takes off all of her clothes, and he starts to do these like wondrous things to her.
So the entire fate of this universe is now resting on whether this woman stays committed to her stand mixer. Like the world will literally end if she breaks up with it. No pressure, just making breakfast and saving the civilization. One relationship at a time.
This is where the real power is!
Girl, I have things I need to achieve in this lifetime. Please do not bring the apocalypse because you got bored of your mixer. Keep it together for all of us.
And then when that's all done, she ends up figuring out a way to like mix her back, and they both end up like seeing God after she And that's lovely. All of this is happening. There's all this like mystery happening. The owner of the bakery is actually like 400 years old, and they're on these like ley lines, and the girl's actually like this keystone, and all of this other stuff is happening.
You know, I'm up for all kinds of education, but a stand mixer was honestly not on my list of things I expected to learn at all. I'm surprised I didn't know something like this existed. Well, I guess we learn something new every day.
And the tentacle smut only lasted like 20 pages. This is like a 200-page book, and we only got minimal tentacle smut. And I wanted like more. I just don't think I have the stamina.
So, out of 200 pages, only 20 are the actual tentacle content. The rest is plot, mystery, ancient lore, ley lines. So what exactly is being sold here? Because the cover has a mixer with tentacles on it. But the readers are opening this book and getting a Dan Brown novel with 20 pages of what they actually came for. Why do I feel like the author and the team is trolling the readers?
I'm not much of like a Da Vinci Code kind of girl, I guess. So I think I'm just going to leave it here, and I'm not going to continue on with the series. I think I'm going to move on to more like action tentacle things, because this was just a little too cryptic and not enough tentacle on for me, if you know what I mean.
And I think the funniest part of all of this is that monster romance has now reached a point where it can disappoint people by having too much plot. I don't mean it in a bad way, but it looks like the genre has its own quality standards now. Its own version of, this is not what I signed up for. Monster romance has fan expectations. I don't know whether to find that impressive or deeply concerning. Probably both.
I'm proud of it. It's not an addiction, it is a choice. And it is not something that you should have to hide in the closet!
Daddy, chill.
So, monster romance. I came into this expecting to be as concerned as I was with dark romance or mafia romance or the other subgenres. But honestly speaking, I'm having a hard time getting mad. I cannot take a Naga with an industrial cave kitchen seriously. I cannot take a mixer with apocalypse contract or a Bigfoot with 70 feet long thing seriously. The genre is being too busy being completely unhinged for me to be genuinely outraged by it.
You shouldn't have left the window open. I will eat you. Huh? Oops, I think I missed the mark. I'm going.
No! You stay.
But funny doesn't mean harmless. And one thing that is unique to this genre specifically, I guess, that gets talked about a lot, is the size difference element. We're not talking about a tall guy. We're talking about creatures that are physically built in a way that makes the power imbalance almost literal. That's baked into the fantasy itself. Sometimes I wonder how science even works for them. Now, to be fair, maybe there are stories in this genre that are sweet, that are more about emotional connection, the found family, the beauty and the beast kind of dynamic without all the problematic layers. If this kind of book exists and if this is what you're reading, good for you. But that's not trending. What's trending is the smut, reviewed with the energy of serious literature, which is maybe the most Booktok thing that has ever happened. A mixer, guys. She fisted a mixer back. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about it. Thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.